Welcome back to the second play week of the TCU Esports League. My name is Anton. I'm joined here once again by Inflict, and for the second week in a row, I'm very, very blessed to be able to be here and to bring you guys this amazing tournament. We've got an amazing game for you guys here today. I promise. I'm going to predict right off the bat, Inflict, that it's not going to be like last week because I think these two teams that
Yeah.
we got here today are a little bit closer than we saw in the previous.
Yeah, we have seen OLC play in the last week as well, and they had an utter dominant game over their opponents. But that was primarily because of one or two people popping off by quite a great margin. I think they netted about more than 100 kills together across the two maps. So so that was an absolute blowout. However, now they're facing off against CCCC. I'm probably gonna mess up the pronunciation, so I'm not even gonna attempt it. But they now seemingly have players that can match the caliber that OLC's individuals showcased last week.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't worry, Inflict. I'll try and get you with the pronunciation stuff. I'll try and have your back. I'm pretty sure it's something like Chonkadeska Chicana for CCCC. That's the only reason I'm trying to say that is because CCCC is a mouthful. If they had
Yeah,
one less C, I'd be content with saying like CQ. They're worse. So I don't want to say all four. But their opponents, of
maybe
course, we saw
just
them
say
last week, like you
Tetra C.
mentioned. Tetra C. Is that it is? Yeah. They're actually that's
Yeah,
actually not bad. Yeah,
yeah,
if I
sounds
forget, I'll
kind of
steal
cool.
that. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
But yeah, so I was saying, Oglala Lakota, they played last week, and like you mentioned, a couple of their players were very, very much like okay. The team, just to put it lightly, was a bit top heavy, right? I think that's the best way
yeah.
to put it. But I went and looked at some of these players and did a tiny bit of research before we had before we got the stream started, and it looks like we do have some people that can potentially match both Yuno and Perfect. If you guys in the audience remember from last week what happened, I'm pretty sure some people in the audience do because had a lot of support for the Bravehearts as of last week. So we'll see what happens this time if they can find the same amount of success or if the Wolves can take something back. But as you can see on screen right now, we do have the three maps in that order: Haven, Bind, and Split. And just something to note about the map bans as well. I thought this was pretty curious. We saw Corrode actually taken out literally last. Of course, there's four bans, right? We see ban, ban, pick, pick, ban, ban. But yeah, it took until the Wolves banned Corrode as the final ban before Split was a decider. Um, Before that got taken out of the rotation. So I'm curious. Of course, Bravehearts, we know that they're skilled. Right? We know that they're like mega, mega good at the game. Uh, but it does seem like the confidence to play these newer maps are definitely in the hands of the Bravehearts so far, and not so much of the Wolves. So just a little bit of a detail in the map selection, just there and then, just to maybe give some perspective on the skill levels, the relative skill levels of these two teams that we're playing.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly do have an advantage, I'd say. But what I'm really curious about again is that how these individuals are going to match up because we can speak about the newer maps, but the first two are going to be Bind and Haven. Those are some of the maps
Hmm.
that practically every Valorant player is well acknowledged with because those maps have been around since the inception of the game. But now we do have our agent composition locked in. Nothing surprising from the side of OLC. This is sort of what they played. However, they are running with a double duelist setup, so I'm not sure what exactly their strategy is. Whatever they worked with the last time, it worked really great. You have Perfect on the Clove, you have Yuno on the Reina, and Yuno did absolutely phenomenal last time he was playing on that Reina. While on the other hand, for this Tetra C, the Sage is the only surprising element, but they're running a double Sentinel setup here as well. So I'm not entirely sure what the ideology behind that is. They are starting on the defense side, so that can be beneficial, but it certainly is going to be interesting to see how they exactly decide to play this out.
Yeah, and speaking of the defenders as well, a player you pointed out is one of the duelists on the side of the Bravehearts, Defnod. He actually is a replacement for CJ Poirier, who was here last week, so that's something to note about this team. But without
Yeah.
that replace, I'm not. I actually forget. I apologize for the people in the audience. I actually forget whether or not the prior player was a sub or this one was a sub. But whatever the case, we do have this quote unquote substitution on the side of the defense of the Bravehearts. So we're gonna see perhaps get some help from there. But on the other end of things, little bit of action down this long C. Just want to point out some of the players on Wolves that I think are worth looking out for as well. I think Jay and Knight are the two members that we're going to have to see whether they can kind of uh, get the calling of what Yuno and Perfect were able to do in the previous week. Because, like I mentioned at the top, I think it's out of Bravehearts. This time, Locksama not having the best of starts, unfortunately. Death is on the side, though, on that ice. He's shield out. And Javel does get another kill on the site before Def Not trades him out. That does mean the Wolves are on the site and planting. Bravehearts left only two members. Perfect, though, one of them up for the clutch, perhaps.
And she's found one, make it two. Now, in a 1 versus 2, there is potential for clutch. She's heard at least one of them. However, it's a double peek and a great play to conclude the round out. Tetra C put up the first.
Javel with a good entry. Jay following up alongside that as well. On the Reina, no less. On the Reina on both sides, we see Yuno right now maybe taking some time to get some warm up in, and I don't blame any of them. It is the first game of the day, and the only game of the day technically. I mean, the first map. All right, that's a better way to put it. So both teams probably on some semblance of warm up right now. So it's gonna take them some time to perhaps get activated, but we'll see what happens in the future rounds. Because this one's gonna be pretty much set in stone. There's only a couple guns outside the Bravehearts. There's only Marshall in the hands of Glocksama over towards that C site. Everyone else is playing those close range pistols, only for a full save, making sure they can buy in the future rounds. As a alright start for Wolves, what we expect. That's the ISO already taken off the board, getting to up that long A. And that does actually call everyone else towards that A site. Omen throws a couple pieces of fake utility over towards Garage, but everyone else on the Wolves is already situated on this A, ready for the plant. There goes Fives with that spike getting hit down the ground.
OLC scattered all across the map, however they regroup towards the back of the site. Perfect already back down to just 2 HP, so this is going to make matters a tad bit worse. They're already working with a much weaker arsenal, hence they just get picked apart like flies.
One enemy remaining.
Only 2 remain, may surprise that it's only 1, and the KJ2 shall fall. Tetra C start off strong.
Nice and crispy shots coming up from Jay, and followed up by Jevel as well. 4 and 1 on the KJ. So that's not even the second player that I mentioned on this roster on the side of Wolves that you might want to watch out for if you're either on the audience or if you're on Braveheart's side, because Knight is sitting at the bottom of the scoreboard. 0 and 1 hasn't needed to do very much. It's only been 2 rounds, of course, and they are the Sova, so he's not really got too much of a fragging job unless he throws out all of his util and he's called upon. But so far it's Jay and Jevel that have done everything for their team. So we'll see whether the second player I mentioned even needs to come into play. But right now, it does look like Jay is looking oh so crispy in the first couple rounds, is with that rifle into the third as well. The only thing that he doesn't have is full armor. Into the hands of Glocksama go the entire team, but the machine gun is not fast enough to be able to take out even one. And Jay removes his doppelganger on the other side as well. Yuno, only 4 HP left after that heal gets denied. And Bravehearts now trying to pull it back with Def not getting a kill on the flank.
2 versus 4 ice
No
online,
distraction.
however, time constraints may come into play. Decides to use it. Shots missed, and that's going to be highly punishable. OLC left with their lone warrior. Perfect once again on a 1 versus 3. Last time around, unfortunately, didn't work out. She's found one. Now looking for more. Will not be aware of the player behind her, and hence will get caught. 3-0. Tetra C off to a really hot start here, Anton.
Yeah, good effort from Perfect, I think, going for that clutch, but remember, you're not exactly playing the team that you're playing last week. You might want to expect a few more cheeky angles, and of course, with the Sage in play in the hands of Fives, not often you see the Sage on this map in particular. Like, sometimes you see Sages on, like, Ascent or something, or maybe Abyss, but yeah, Haven, definitely not... past like year 1, you don't really see Sage, so don't blame Perfect for not expecting that corner with that little Sage wall. It's a bit weird, but hopefully in these future rounds you can see them get a bit more of a sense of their opponent's actual caliber, because the Wolves are definitely showing themselves as much stronger of a team than they were prior. Hero here, not having learned that lesson just yet. Wheezy with the lurk has done very well getting the rest of the team on the A site. It's taking complete control No one's in heaven. Not entirely sure if he's going to opt to go there. Doesn't look like it. Just goes for the smoke. Lets the rest of the team ingress onto the site safely. Jay just be prepared for absolutely everything. Wants to even go for the pre-fire up into heaven, but with that, the spike does get planted. Bravehearts down 1 minute.
Oh, lockdown planted. That's going to force the defenders back and waste a lot of time. So that's certainly not going to help them out one bit. The Sage goes out wide, swinging with the Odin, finds one, and that's going to leave only 3 people behind him. Not even sure if OLC should go for this further. Maybe try and hold on to the weaponry they have. However, they continue to fall one after another. Last one alive is yet again going to be the KJ, but not for long. The Wolves continue to reign supreme.
Oh, my God. Last week we saw Bravehearts with this kind of scoreline, this kind of 4-round streak. I wonder, it's like, are we going to see the same thing backwards this week?
It would be extremely surprising, and the fact that Yuno hasn't put up a single kill right now is even more baffling. We've seen that man's caliber, however, it seems like he just cannot pull anything off against the Wolves.
Yeah, it's still early days. Like I mentioned, it's still only 4 rounds, but being 0-4 on the Reyna is definitely not exactly what you would want. Of course, last round getting a bit unlucky, getting caught out. This time he wants to go a bit aggressive. Going for the orb! No! Expected there was no one there. Wheezy took some time in the corner just to maybe instill a false sense of security in the hands of his enemies. Locks some up, but I think he lagged there. I don't even know if that was his fault. Perfect trying her best to, but I'm afraid she's gonna get caught out in mid here. I don't know if she can get away in time. She can just. Post left. She does know actually up for the ace. Does maintain her life as well on the Clove. Not dead yet. And a 1-on-2. One player to her front, one player to her back. Can't even manage to finish off the first one. It's Knight, the player that I mentioned earlier, to clean up that round with a 4K.
Yeah, the Wolves are doing really well right now. Perfect. She's been put in these clutch situations so many times. However, the odds are just against her way too much to be able to pull those off. Pulling off a 1 versus 3 and 1 versus 4 is not an easy task whatsoever, particularly not when you're playing against such players that Wolves have shown out to be. I mean, sure, we did mention a couple of names, but looking at the scoreboard, the kills are very evenly split up. I mean, the top of the board is 6 kills, the bottom is 4. So everybody's picking up their slack. Nobody is having a bad day from the looks of it. Wolves currently all on point.
Yeah, this is a tough one, especially after that as well. You know, though, hold on. That is the first kill for the Reyna. That's probably not something that you would like to hear on round number 5, or excuse me, round number 6 at this point. But definitely needed, as Perfect was the first person to go down in that round through mid. Trying to get proactive, trying to do something early for the team. Def not making something happen there in B side as well. So maybe first round in a while where Bravehearts look kind of decent. They are still down 1 member. But the top of the CCCC, oh my God, I said I wouldn't say that, but the top of the Wolves, the head of the pack, have both gone down. Knight and Wheezy. Knight's starting out a little bit slow, and has definitely picked up the pace. And 2 important kills, especially for the side of the Bravehearts, because these 2 players have their ults ready. Knight with that Huntress Fury, Wheezy with the from the shadows, not able to use it this round.
You will not kill my allies.
Look like they're trying to bring at least one of those back.
One enemy remaining
With that res, and that is already off the board as well. Not looking great. Bullets running low. Jay with a shorty inside the smoke. Oh, actually misses both shots. And Def not. Hold on a second. On for the clutch, but walking backwards, has to try and maintain his life, but instead walks straight into the hands of Jebel. With that Nano Storm at his feet, Wolves go up to 6.
What a dominant performance. It's like OLC are completely unrecognizable. Perfect. I mean, she's putting up some numbers, but a 1 KD for somebody who played so phenomenally that she had, I believe, more than 50 kills at the very least just last week. It's a complete contrast to OLC's performance. And Wolves, I mean, all props to them. Jewel having such a great Nano Swarm and the awareness to put that down and hence pressurize the player from up front to run back into it was a phenomenal play.
Oh, that's not entirely great either. I think Wolves not exactly, not completely aware of the capabilities of the gun on the other side of the door. Never following up on the prior success definitely looked very, very good so far. And Knight, I mean, I don't know if he heard me or what. I guess he just did. Might have been tuning into the stream with the stream delay. But yeah, I called him out at the start. I'm like, what are you doing, brother? 1 kill at the bottom of the scoreboard. Now he's up to 10 in what is probably only 3 rounds since I said that.
Yeah. Knight is having one phenomenal game, and things are now starting to look a tad bit lopsided in terms of statistics, but I don't think that's a true representation of the Wolves. They started off strong altogether, and now it's just people running after the kills because at this point I think the Wolves are just way too confident again, taking those individual 1v1s against OLC, and when you're just winning fights from such small gaps and so consistently as well, you have to have that confidence. I mean, I believe that Soa's died like twice or thrice there at the very least, as the Wolves continue to take over the seaside. I believe for the 4th
Spike
time
planted.
in the last in these 8 rounds, and one after the other, OLC continues to fall.
But, I
Last
mean, you know,
player
it's the
standing.
wide swing, confident, even though he's not doing nearly as well as he was in the previous week. Still going for these peaks. I respect it. Gotta do what you can, right? Because
Yeah.
most of the team is not having as much success as you would hope. And like you mentioned, yeah, no, you're completely right. I think both Loxama and Wolf have gotten to be quite predictable, and I think that Wolves are completely understanding of that. Like they know exactly where Wolf is going to be playing every single round. It's going to be Silver
Yeah.
Garage, Killjoy back C. It's kind of standard at this point, so they're just making some entrances happen over towards that side of the map. So I think unless Bravehearts decides to make some kind of change, that's not great either. Off, dropped on the ground. Is it recovered? Not quite. So at least Wolves, if they want one, they're gonna have to reinvest. But I don't think it's gonna matter that much, anyways, based on their money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't.
Yeah, they,
Unless Bravehearts make some kind of change, I don't see this half going any differently than it already has been.
Yeah, I'm surprised timeout hasn't been called in as of yet. We're just 4 rounds away from the conclusion of the half, and given how this map is going so far, it's a great probability that this might just end with a 13-0 scoreline at this point. Knight again, he's continuing to popping off here. 12 frags for him. Another player having 9 frags with just 2 deaths. And again, same position, same person to get the kill as well. You cannot make the same mistakes. There's absolutely no readjustment from the side of the Bravehearts, and they continue to get punished. As you said, the KJ towards the back of Seaside, and again, it's an easy frag. The Wolves, they've figured out the pattern, and they're just capitalizing it time and time again.
Well, I mean, I respect Wolves for still respecting Bravehearts, because we see Jay is watching flank for just a second there, just to make sure that they're not actually making some kind of miraculous adaptation.
One enemy remaining.
There he goes, not walking behind him, and instead walking through spawn. That's not a great whiff either. Jay caught out in the slow, as well as having been vulnerable up by the ISO utility, but still is able to perhaps get the frag. Not quite. Def not the one for the clutch. Doesn't have enough health to go through all 5 members of the Wolves. Up to 9-0 right now for the Shankadeska.
Wow. Honestly, I am baffled as of right now, because this does not look like the OLC that we saw last week. Yuno isn't having a performance up to 4, and Def not having somewhat decent statistics speak a lot about the potential that they had Yuno and Perfect had a similar game to what they did last week, and Def not combined together with that would have been absolutely fantastic. But again, Reswolf, he cannot just get caught off guard so many times right there. The ISO, he did try to go for a trade here, however, it came a tad bit too late, the attempt, and Jay has found the KJ yet again. The killing pattern continues to follow itself, however, this one has a tad bit more realistic chance. Though, gets pressurized by 2 and hence eventually meets his demise, and Defnot, the new player, unfortunately, is the last one alive and can't really do much. Gets hunted down, and double digits already secured for the Wolves.
Yeah, this one's. I honestly, I feel a little bit bad for Wolf and Gloxama, because it's pretty clear. I mean, you were saying Defnot's a new player, and he is to the roster, but it's pretty clear that Wolf and Gloxama are both new to not only the roster but the game itself. Again, can't really blame them. I mean, Valorant.
Yeah.
We've all been playing it. Right? Like probably people in the audience have been following it for a while as well. If you haven't, then you know that Valorant's a hard game. There's no way around it. It is just difficult. Like you're not gonna pick it up right off the bat and be good. You're not even gonna be decent. So it is a little bit feels bad that Unfolk is just he's probably just been told to play Garage. So just chill and just lock it down. There, the Wolves. There is a very clear hierarchy so far in the three teams that we have seen on broadcast,
You will
and
not
I think
kill
Wolves
my
so far are
ally.
sitting very solidly at the very top.
Within mere seconds, the round is already falling apart for OCC. I think at this point, even they've started to lose hope for this map in particular. It's
One
just
enemy
not looking
remaining.
good whatsoever. Is gone as well. I mean, there is not even a lot to just dissect about these rounds. It's just the Wolves running towards one particular side, completely unhinged and just
Last round in
steamrolling
the
through
half.
anybody that comes in their way.
This one, yeah, I'm gonna be real. I don't think there's very much to say about this map. It's just like CCCC were able to figure out the setup for Bravehearts over on the first half, and then yeah, they just dismantled it. There was a very clear weak point over towards that garage, over towards that C site, and they decided to just hit it over and over again. Only a couple times did they go A, but even still, with the mechanical ability on the side of Wolves, with Knight at the very top now, Jay, okay, maybe an op is what makes him miss. Misses one of the easiest shots I've seen anyone take in this game. And Wheezy's got the second sniper rifle in the round, but I mean, why not? Knight figures it out eventually, I guess. And once again, walks straight at the garage. Def not pulling one back. And case, there's actually another one as well. Jay also fell earlier in the round, but the thing is, Knight's already made it all the way to the
One
back
enemy
of
remaining.
B site, and Def not long for the world. Perfect now, final player alive against 3. Knight's still there, so Raid Boss now taken down. Perhaps there's a chance for the Bravehearts to get around. 1 on 2, 5 still has the sniper and ends the half flawless.
Switching sides.
Wow. The team that had utterly dominated their opponents last week, winning the first map with a 13-2 scoreline, are facing a predicament which somewhat mirrors the predicament that their opponents faced last week, but in a much worse state. They
Placing
couldn't
alarm
even
bomb.
pull off those 2
Placing
rounds
swarm grenade.
that their opposition took
Placing
last
swarm
week.
grenade.
So, what a turnaround, Anton.
You just gotta pray for a pistol round win, and I mean, based on where they're positioned right now, it's looking pretty alright. If they just decide to just send it, there's nothing to lose. It's 0-12. Like, what are the odds of us making a comeback? Just like play your hearts out and just go. If they just send it onto A with all 5 members here, it might actually be pretty decent, especially because look at the way the Wolves are moving right now. They're all moving on the other side of the map.
Oh!
Someone, oh no, had the drop on him. He had the gun out, and this Knight actually didn't, but on the flank, it's Jay and Knight following up on one another. And this might be all she wrote already. Bravehearts 1 on 4 just for Def Not, and it can't happen. It's a 13-0. Wolves come out of the map 1 absolutely flawless.
I am too stunned to speak, quite realistically. And I mean, we saw. I mean, the player that spoke about Def not being another player that hadn't played last week in his interview, we expected them to only improve further. And today, now that they do have Def not on their roster, they went ahead with that double duelist setup, and it seemed somewhat promising. They have 3 strong players supposedly on their team, and Perfect was still showing up in those early rounds, but it. I mean, even Perfect herself was nowhere to be seen after like the round 4 and 5. It was just repeated patterns through and through, and I'm really surprised by the fact that I mean, sure, you do have some new players, but you also have some experienced players as well. So why did they not call for a timeout and readjust some positions, they just let the Wolves exploit the same patterns time and time again?
Yeah, I mean, any time where there's a 0-13 or something, some crazy scoreline like this, I think the answers are always so difficult to find. For us on broadcast or even for the teams, like whether they have a coach or not, sitting behind them and maybe watching them over their shoulders, it's still I don't know why I said that. I don't think they do. I'm pretty sure I remember in the interview last week saying that they're all remote players. So that's a little bit that's even more difficult to be that disjointed. Um but yeah, if you don't have someone that is able to see all the perspectives and be like, hey, this needs to change, it can be kind of difficult, especially if you're the one that has to be both mechanically and mentally carrying the team on their shoulders. I don't really blame anyone on this roster for not being able to be like, hold on, this is the issue right here, and this is how we need to change, right? Because that's always that's hard for new players, it's hard for tenured players. That's why good IGLs are some of the most sought after players in the entire VCT, in the entire any esport technically. So yeah, it's just a bit unfortunate for Bravehearts. I think piggybacking off what you said, they do actually look a little bit better, quote unquote. They're just playing a team that's just way, way, way beyond what they expected, and even more beyond the caliber of their opponent that they played last week. But we'll have to see if they manage to even get some rounds. I hope they do for their own sake. After we come back from a quick little break, we're gonna let me double check the maps real quick. We're gonna see Bind after we come back. So you guys in the audience, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Dreaming of the more that I know about you, the more that I want you, baby. They say that good love will yield the best from me. I know it.
Quick little break. Took a bit of time. We apologize for that. There were some tech issues behind the scenes, but we've got all that sorted out now. So hopefully this next map will go nice and smoothly. And for the sake of the Bravehearts, they're going to definitely want that to be the case. Because once again, my name is Anton, joined here by Inflict, and we just brought you an absolute dusting by the Wolves onto the Bravehearts.
Yeah, and it worries me quite a lot, Anton, truthfully. That was OLC's map pick that we saw go down earlier, and they got
Mm-hmm.
whitewashed. Like 13-0, it was an absolute blowout, and now we will be heading to supposedly the Wolves' home ground. It's their map pick. We're gonna go to Bind, and truthfully, OLC, they have shown potential. I mean, we know they can play good individually, but I think Wolves are just a much more decorated team in terms of as a group, and that is
Mm-hmm.
what stood out in those early rounds. And afterward, they just snowballed onto the confidence of beating the heck out of every single engagement that they had against any OLC individual, including Perfect and who had been standing out so well in the last series. But today they just got overwhelmed by how collected the fights were for Wolves. A lot of the times we saw them take those one versus twos all together and just not give as many opportunities to get clutched up or something like that. Even Perfect, when she was granted so many clutching opportunities, there just was a failsafe in play for the Wolves that ensured that the round would not be lost in any way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like if there's any kind of solution to be found for this out of the Bravehearts, I think they've already started out pretty well on this map, even in Agent Select. I think one of the things that was running around in my head last map was, man, I wish Perfect was the one on this Reyna, right? Because I think her like multi-frag potential is at least today. Maybe it would be different last week or next week or whatever. But at least on what we saw on the map Haven is that Parfix's multi-frag potential was a lot higher than Yuno was usually good for one, um, but good for one is not exactly the kind of performance that you
Yeah.
want on Arena, because it's Reina is feast or famine. You want to be getting kills and getting more kills and over again. You want to peel, dismiss, whatever, so you could have another chance at a fair gunfight. So I'm glad to see that adaptation has been made, but I think I mean, obviously there's gonna have to be more. One little agent change is not gonna solve a problem that when the problem is the fact that you got 13-0'd. So I definitely would want to see them. Hopefully, they had some time to talk amongst themselves while we were sorting out the tech issues. That they need to be changing things up, right? Because obviously Shankar Deska at this point have definitely figured out the fact that there are two very very clear weak points for the side of the Bravehearts. There's Reswolf on the Sova, and Glocksaw in the last round was on the KJ, but has now switched over to the Omen. So those two agents are going to be their targets, and I think it might be a little bit better on Bind, considering there's only 2 sites, so you're not going to guarantee find one weak site. But it's still going to be very difficult for Bravehearts to reinforce these positions, especially as we have massive dive. Jay's already in the site and gotten 2 kills right back out. It's clean for the side of the Wolves.
Gonna fall back here.
Yeah, 2 players already gone, site completely taken over, and backup nowhere to be found. OLC once again on the back foot in a swift fashion as the map has just begun. Spike planted, a freebie found, but there is a trade, however, a 2 versus 4. This is going to be difficult as Jay continues to deliver damage, however, not going to be
Last
allowed
player
to find a
standing.
frag. Last alive is going to be perfect herself on the Reyna, however, not going to be able to find much value. The Wolves continue their streak of 14 consecutive round wins.
It's difficult when you are on the side of the Bravehearts right now to hope for anything more than whatever you can get. I think you just want a round. That's a pretty okay start for what they have brought in with them, because Perfect has 2 kills, is on the Reyna, is building her way up to the Empress, so eventually there will be an opportunity for her to just go ham and take a 1v1 after 1v1 after 1v1. As long as she can not get immediately traded by someone on the Wolves, there's definitely an opportunity for Bravehearts to find something in this game, regardless of the fact that it's fine. But this definitely makes it a little bit difficult, because Jay, with the shotgun on the Waylay, is going to do so much. Only with the classic Perfect, even as good as she is, can't find a kill. So that's a bit unlucky. Wheezy now is holding someone hostage inside the teleporter as well. I feel like that was almost the kill. That one definitely is. On the flank is the Sova, and through spawn goes the Sky. Coming around the elbow, perhaps
Spike
spotted a
planted.
gun maybe. I'm not sure if someone called that out, but he's gonna opt to go right back. Okay, I get it, buddy. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, this round's already come to a conclusion. I doubt Yuna can find a lot of value here with this classic.
Last player
Does have a
standing.
couple of flashes,
Flawless.
but you blink and you miss it. Both of the players fall within mere milliseconds of each other. The Wolves, 15 consecutive round wins, and I mean, this is starting to look more and more deadlier. If just speaking of the agent compositions here, actually, I personally believe that the Wolves just have a much more dominant presence and can have a much more dominant presence across the map. You have a Waylay that can be just sort of in your face and also has a get out of jail free card. So does the Chamber, but the Fade can set up the Waylay for such great success, particularly behind those Seekers. The way they can lead the charge right behind those, and again, Geralt, he's the first one to enter, and that's exactly what I was talking about. The Waylay flashes right in, however, it was a face-off against the Chamber to TP'd away, but is still not out of danger. Devil, he knows he's close by, the target has been found and taken care of. Nile continues to deliver, and yet again, Wolves, they stick true to what has worked out for them in the last 2 rounds, and they secure yet another round win streak.
Flawless.
It is nice and clean. No one going down. There's a couple armors being broke on the side of the Wolves, but it is all good all day so far for Chonkadeska on the attacking side. Man, it is they're really not looking like they're slowing down, and Bravehearts unfortunately are going to be a little bit hurting on the economy side this time. Yuno's got a rifle, but he's the only one. No one else is going to be able to buy up, but I think they might end up doing so anyways. I think Defnot maybe relying on the fact that there might be a tour de force coming sometime in the future is going to invest into the Outlaw, head over to that towards that hookah position again. But he has to fire out one. Waylay is going to dash right up into his space, and he teleports back on the site. So it's good adaptation so far for him. But he's being chased by Jay. Does find the headshot. Perfect also with the first kill down that long before having to escape in that teleporter as well. So maybe there's a chance for something more than a round. That's not catching someone inside a hookah stuck in the corner. Gets shot off. So it's definitely some potential here for this one in round number 4.
Yeah, I
One
really
enemy
like this to
remaining.
change up their approach, and
Spike
Wolves aren't
down,
prepared
B.
for those flanks to come up. Reswolf walks into Weasel and gets found, and what a shot! Okay, I mean, that's one way to put an end to a round win.
Alright, so there's one. They got one. They stopped the 16 round win streak coming out from Wolves. Not going to be 17 today, only a quarter of a stack. But with that round win, the fact that they lost all these weapons, the fact that they lost a Bucky, I don't know, an Outlaw or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what they had in the last round, but that does mean they're going to invest pretty heavily into this one, considering they've won 3 in a row. There is an AWP in the hands of Knights on the Chamber, which is oh so devastating, and then Fives has got temporarily, he could have an Odin, but Ops for that full armor instead, so that's the right.
Gonna fall back here.
They're a fast in A this time. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, but if it is broke, definitely go to the other side. And it does seem like it's working. Loxama able to get a little bit of damage off onto one of the players, but I don't think it's going to be too much.
Spike
For the
planted.
rest of the Wolves as they come back into it, and Sage gets Fade back up to full HP. Perfect now with a rifle. He's not the only one that has to do something, because Defnot has found some success as well through the spawn, but right now, Brim is on for the ace, and it looks like they're going to give it to him. One by one, everyone's just going to fall until Wheezy comes back around through heaven and takes the 5th kill for the Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you earlier said perfect playing on the Reyna makes a lot more sense, and I 100% agree with that statement. However, you just cannot have perfect in a 1 versus 5 every single round. You need other people to show up. It's Valorant is a team game, and currently everybody besides perfect has been extremely unfortunate today. They're missing their shots. They're not getting the right timings. And you know, one thing that I do want to commend for OLC here is that they were able to readjust this time around. However, not in time, I'd say. Jay once again leading the charge, being that aggressive waylay, prepared to take another fight. The ult's out, slows down the Sky, and hence an easy turnaround on that engagement. 3 people left. Jay, he still wants more while the ultimate sustains. The Bucky up close and personal could have been dangerous, but still comes out on top. The last 2 alive are going to be the Chamber and so, but realistically not a lot to be done here at this point. I would not be surprised if they opt to just try and look for exit frags or save their weapons, because this just isn't worth it.
Oh, well, it's like Jay's turn though. Okay, no, as I say that. Maybe that's what I need to do. I just need to say that it's their turn for an ace, and perhaps
One enemy
there's some
remaining.
opportunity. Maybe it's Wheezy's turn for an ace. Maybe it's
Oh my god!
There was only a limit to how much power I could infuse into that round. Nice try by Bravehearts, but Wolves have more than enough members to come out of that round alive.
Oh, I mean, first a 13-0, then a knife to the face. Not even to the back. A knife to the face, and
That's a trickster.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
yeah, but the Wolves extremely comfortable so far, and it doesn't feel like they're gonna stop anytime soon. I mean, now they've won 2 rounds towards the A side, so OLC they're probably anticipating it. Wolves, they have the perfect read. OLC invested 3 players to defend the A side, and how do you live there, Defnot? Holding down the defense all by himself. He's found 2, spotted the 3rd shot, miss. However, he's lost his teammate on the side. Backup has arrived, so that is going to make things a tad bit easier for him. As 3 players remain, you know, he spotted it, he knows there's a person close by. His spider senses were tingling and he delivers.
One
Res
enemy
comes
remaining.
through, Jay's alive,
Spike
however,
down B.
not going to be able to stay alive for long. Within mere seconds, Juno puts an end to them. A 1 versus 3 here for Knight.
Teleport's ready.
Found him. He's got time to work with 50 seconds. Spike down inside hookah, so he's got to get the kills. So I don't think he's looking to go any farther back. There is the first one onto Defnot with the opposing sniper rifle. Maybe one of the only members on that team able to secure the clutch against them. But okay, that's not exactly the upgrade you want. Who's back to the operator. Jump spots a little bit, but
30
Bravehearts
seconds
surely,
left.
at least, even with just 3 of them, having some idea on what they need to do to win the round, they should have an idea. And of course, it's Uno and Perfect, so the best 2 members of this roster to be on this 1-on-2 clutch. They know they have to spike down in hookah.
One enemy
All they have to
remaining.
do is
Oh.
wait, but this is a bit of a problem. Op shot. There's 1 bullet left in the chamber, and this is all he's gonna need to finish that round by himself.
How?
These new friends of ours are
What
not too
a
friendly.
freaking read! I mean, you have to look at it. He kills Perfect, and he understands immediately that, okay, you know what? It's a crossfire setup, sort of, and the last player just has to be defending the
That's a good
spike. I
spot.
mean, sure, it may not seem too much of a big brain, but given how there was such a lack of time on the clock, a person might have panicked there, but Def not. He had the awareness to pull out the operator, knew it was the better weaponry of choice in such a long hallway. Takes out the operator, finds the final frag, all within the last 10 seconds, and confirms the 6 for the Wolves.
Right onto this A site. On a perfect. That's a nice shot. Prevent this plant right off the bat. Def not working his way through that teleporter as well. Has found his way into the showers, but Roxama trying to deny the plant right off the bat. Gets punished by Jay, and Jeb will stand with frags to remove anyone until Defnot comes back onto the scene, but it's taken down so low that it's going to be hella difficult for them to get this much off shot to the body, not even through a wall. Bit of an overkill, and the second
I'm
one
not cleaning this
finds
up.
Rez's head, and Wolves come out clean yet again.
I mean, after having conceded that 1 versus 3 to the chamber, I imagine that must have taken a confidence hit. Their confidence must have taken a hit at this point. It's gonna make things all the more easier for the Wolves to just walk across anything that OLC are gonna throw at them. Perfect has slowed down as well. I believe he was standing with 6 kills and 4 deaths earlier. Now that's tied up to 7-7. So, I mean, again, this is similar to what happened last game as well. Perfect had great rounds, pretty decent rounds at the very least, at the beginning of map number 1, but eventually she fell apart due to the pressure
Face
that
your
was
fear!
putting on her, and hence it's happening yet again.
Mark 1.
That's not a great start. First kill going down long. Rez is going to be the one to fall. No more darts, no more utility. Defnot going for the challenge. Nice little head tap on a Javel, excuse me. And Perfect with the crossfire too, but reveals the location with that spray. Tries to get out.
Last
Is
player
kind of
standing.
oh no, kind of had to read that the chamber was sitting in the corner, and now Defnot's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Everyone's gonna be aiming right at his position, but one at a time. Defnot's got it. He's got all 4.
He pulls out an Uno reverse and clutches it up all by himself, no help needed. And you know what? That might be somewhat of a saving grace here for OLC. The Bravehearts, they needed a Braveheart. They needed somebody to stand up with courage and pull them out of this misery realistically. And now that Defnot has done it, it's mandatory that the rest of the group, particularly Perfect and Yuna, get their confidence back. They start to play a little bit more collectively. Otherwise,
You want to
it
play?
still
Let's
is
play.
the Wolves' game. But that round, it can at least give them some hope here.
I mean, Glock Samba, brother, if you take out your gun, you have 5 free kills right here. Oh,
No!
hey, I gotta check the ping real
Spike
quick. It
planted.
might have been that. It definitely is. 300 to 500. I'm looking at the number right now. That is very, very unfortunate. Maybe Defnot has something to say about this round. Even still, Perfect though gets taken out. So not the best scenarios. You definitely want one of those players aforementioned to be the one in the clutch, but this time Defnot can't even do it himself. All up to Rez Wolf. I don't think this is going to bear any fruits. Instantly tapped by Jebel, coming out of heaven, and there are no more saving graces for the side of Bravehearts. Wolves update.
5 rounds are needed before we can witness the conclusion of the series, and in a very unexpected fashion as well. Defnot, he started to show his potential, and I really like it. You know, again, Yuno had spoken of them missing one of their key players, that being Defnot last week, and so we hadn't really seen their true colors. However, now Defnot, he's shown his potential, particularly in that clutch round, that he can hold his nerves when it matters. It's just the overwhelming team play of the
Be right
Wolves
back.
that gets problematic to deal with.
And when it goes this far, too, it's so tough to come back into it, because then the opponent...
Spike
Oh,
planted.
yeah, Jebel's way too fast. Oh, you can see all the Wolves are supremely confident. Like, they are just having fun with things. They're playing a game. You might as well just say they're playing not even ranked. They're just playing unrated, just running around all over the place with whatever gun they want. Nice shot from Defnot, if you can pull it back
Another
again.
one?
He's definitely got the gun to do it! 1 on 4. But he slowed himself with this tour de force, so it might be a little bit awkward trying to get out of spawn, and the gun is long enough for maybe Wheezy to spot him on his exit. But the thing is, he doesn't know exactly what this brim is, doesn't manage to check it, thought he was long, but the read this time isn't good. That means Wolves bring themselves
Last
up to
round
9, even
before
though the
the
round
switch.
got close.
Yeah, Defnot seemingly wanted to bait out Weasel's position. However, Weasel, very wise about the situation, just stuck to the corner, had a slight angle that did not entirely reveal himself, and yet he had his eyesight set on the spike. And now, as we head on to the last round of the first half, Wolves yet again on the brink of hitting double digits.
Smokes fast. That's going to go into that U-Haul position. Perfect, though, with that escape, does manage to get out temporarily, takes out Jebel. Not long for this world. Reg, poor guy. Not
You will not.
yeah, I
kill
mean,
my
yeah,
ally.
there's nothing we can really say about that one. Jebel just brought back
enemy
dead
remaining.
as well. So it looks like this half is all but over in the back. It was Defnot. Knight's the one. I mean, it's just like that. It's just like that one spaceman meme. It was you
Switching
all along.
sides.
Chamber on chamber. 10-2 for the Wolves. Looking better for Bravehearts, though. At least they've got a couple on the board.
Yeah, somewhat better. So there is a silver lining, and Defnot performing better, I believe, is one of the better silver linings that you could conclude the map out with. However, as the season goes on, I do anticipate them to just figure out how to work a tad bit together. Again, Glocksama having internet problems, as you can tell right now, is really unfortunate, and Reswolf is, of course, very new to the game, so it can be problematic to do so. However, something that I think should be good for OLC is to sort of gamble, particularly on defenses where you just set your 3 players aside and put them on one side
done.
together so that they
Doing
can
things.
work things together and play post plans together as well. And I believe that would grant them the greatest chances of making their round successful when you have your strongest bunch together, working together collectively. But when they're split amongst themselves, it can be easier to pick them off one after the other, as Wolves continue to do so. Reswolf yet again found. Glocksama follows him to the grave, and
One
yet again,
enemy
only
remaining.
2 there remain.
And not for very long as Parfik and Defnot get taken out one by one. And the Wolves, only 2 remaining left to win the entire series. Just to let you guys know in the audience, we have not been here an hour. We started a tad bit late because there were some tech issues on our end. And we had a little bit of a extended intermission to sort out some tech issues on a player's end. But we are perhaps going to reach the end of the broadcast sooner than we can even say Chonkadeska Chicana. So the Wolves
Well,
looking to
clearly
end
not,
this
you said
pretty
it.
fast, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, look at that Jay! Just randomly walks out, pushes with the Bucky, and just comes back. I mean, the Whaley meta is actually kind of going a little bit insane here. It's starting to remind me of how dominant the Neon was a while back, and that got sort of annoying towards the end of it. Whaley not as much as of yet, however, it could lead us down that path eventually.
One enemy
For the time
remaining.
being, it's not. It doesn't even matter who there is. Hey, okay. Oh, missed shots, gets punished, but there is the trade. Retroceded confirmed
Match
themselves the
point.
map and
Their spirit
series point.
We only need one more. I mean, inflict. I don't really have anything to say. It's a stop.
Yeah.
2 to 12. There's I think the thing that really rubs salt in the wound is that 1 versus 3 from Knight. It was actually against the 3 best players on the side of Braveheart. Like, it wasn't any of the 2
Yeah.
Uno ones. I think it was Uno, Perfect, Defnot in that 1-on-3. So yeah, it's just like it is. Sometimes you have players that are a little bit newer, and it's tough to compete, right? Perfect is doing your darndest to try and get something out of here.
Too bad.
Now, Jay's gonna win the fight. The second Perfect takes the second one. Like,
Oh,
yeah, that's tough.
okay.
That's tough.
That's
Three on-
question mark.
well, yeah. I have foreshadowed it.
One
2 on
enemy
4 now.
remaining.
1 on 4.
Strike
And the
down,
shotgun
B.
does find one. Defnot's got a lot left to do, though, and finds a
Teleport's
second
ready.
with that turn as well. But now inside the slow, I don't think you want to be peeking inside that stage. Or Fives, though, gives him a fight and
Oh.
takes it from him.
Defenders win.
Wolves are having their fangs bared, and Bravehearts, unfortunately, are declawed 13-2 and 2-0 in terms of maps for the Wolves.
Yeah, that was that was utter dominance. I mean, having only conceded 2 rounds across the 2 maps against a team that we anticipated to do pretty well, and I mean, given that we had seen them play last week, we sort of had a bias towards them. I personally did at the very least, but to see them get knocked around in such a fashion was absolutely mind blowing to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's early days, right? We only have
Yeah.
5 play days in the league, and unfortunately, we did end up missing the first one because a lot of technical issues around the board. Heck of a snowstorm on the East Coast. Can't blame anyone. But I think it was hard to see like a kind of standings, quote unquote, after a single day or 2 days. But with this game, I think we can still solidly put at least 2 of the teams in the TCU on the top right now, and I think that's probably going to be um, these guys right here, obviously the
Yeah.
Wolves, and then perhaps like I was about to say, I actually read the wrong team. I thought they played in the first week. No, it's the Wolves and the Mykonoks. There you go. Turtle Mountain is the second team that I was going to point out. I think those two are definitely in contention for the top of the standings, both 1 and 2. And then in second and third place, it might be a bit contested between the Bravehearts and perhaps Sitting Bull. But again, with this game, the fact that this gap between Wolves and Bravehearts is so wide, uh, yeah, I think it's going to be tough the entire season for the rest of this league, right? The Bravehearts and Sitting Bull, and then TOCC. Uh, these guys are going to have a heck of a lot of work in their back pockets that they need to do in order to be able to catch up to both Wolves and Mykonoks.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear that this conference has a lot of levels to it. We saw OLC dominate one of their opponents in a very similar fashion as to what we saw happen today as well. But then you have another team that do the same to OLC themselves. So it's
Mhm.
really going to be a question of where do these levels stop? Who is going to be sitting at the very pinnacle of it? And as you said, we still haven't witnessed every single team here, so there might still be some surprises that await us later down the line.
Yeah, but we actually do have an interview because I mean this map was pretty fast. This series was pretty fast, so probably not entirely tired just yet. One of the members over on the Wolves is going to be joining us after this quick short break to talk about the current win and perhaps the future of what we see in the TCU, because we have 2 play days remaining before playoffs, if I'm correct. Actually, I will get you guys some more information about that eventually. I promise about that. But yeah, for now we're gonna get that set up for you guys. Thank you so much for watching so far. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Decisive victory from the Wolves onto the side of the Bravehearts, 2-0, 26-2 in terms of the scoreline. We're joined here from one of the victors on the side of the Wolves, Jay, the captain from the CCCC. How's it going, brother?
It's going pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward. We love to
Yeah.
see that. But Jay, we're just we're just gonna be very quick about it. I mean, just the way you guys were with the series, how what happened there? How we saw OLC play absolutely out of their minds last week, and yet again, yet here today, it seemed like they could do absolutely nothing. Are you guys just well versed as a team, or do you think you guys just had a really good day? What's going on here?
I would say it was more of like a prep. I would say we prepped pretty good for the match. I would say, like they had 2 games I believe they played, so we got a lot of footage
Mhm.
from there, and we got I guess anti-strat them in a way. But other than that, yeah, we were aiming pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's one of the easiest ways to put it. You guys are shooting straight. That is kind of how it does, right? We're playing Valorant. It's an FPS game. I say that week after week, every single time we see something like this. Like it's not the most common, but it definitely goes around that we see like 13 nils, 13 twos, 13 ones. But I guess uh, to summarize it, I mean, like there is a very clear like new player population in the TCU so far. We've seen, like we mentioned last week, Bravehearts was the one to absolutely knock out their opponents, like completely wipe the floor with them, right? And this time, like Inflict mentioned, you guys were the ones to do that to them. So there are like levels to how new these players are, right? But that this is kind of the nature of the TCU. This is a grassroots kind of situation that we have here, and with that said, it does look like you guys are further away from that, right? You guys are more tenured. I was looking through some of your players, and it looks like some people have been playing the game. So I was just wondering, was it a struggle to build this kind of roster from the CCCC? Because if I'm correct, all these colleges that we have in the TCU are like dedicated for like tribal institutions, so Native American Indians and stuff like that. So was it hard, or was it just like, oh, you guys got lucky with 5 people that you know that played Valorant that went to the same college?
So I wouldn't say we got lucky. I would say so. Me, Knight, and Weasel, we've been playing Valorant now for about I would say like at least 3 to 4 years now, but it wasn't anything like serious. But we
Mhm.
we played on the weekends for fun, stuff like that, and we seen the opportunity to join the esports thing, so we decided to join it. And plus, we have our 2 other friends actually, but they don't play as much. I don't know if you could tell or not, but
No, could
they're
not tell.
they were shooting good today though. I would say.
Yeah, that yeah, they were shooting good. Yeah, but with that win, I've looked through some of the past scores. We've had 3 weeks of play so far. I think there's still one game that has yet to happen during the first week, and I'm pretty sure that was your opponents from last week going up against TOCC. Uh, I do not see that score reported on Rally Cry, so again, I'm just assuming that it hasn't been played. But apart from
Which
that,
one?
looking at
Which one are you talking
uh
about?
the Mighty Mykonox versus TOCC
Oh, oh,
in
oh, oh,
week
yeah,
number
yeah,
one.
yeah. I don't
Yeah,
think I'm not
so
too sure on that.
at this point, I think if the other game's finished, I'm not entirely sure. You guys were hecka fast, so I would doubt that Sitting Bull College versus TOCC is finished. But if it is, we would have 5 games played, and based on the scores of these past best of threes, I would think that you guys are like solidly at the top of the entire standings. So I was just wondering, with this TCU, Uh, looking into the near future, there's 2 weeks remaining. Do you guys think that you're going to have any kind of competition looking through? Because you already mentioned that you looked at VODs, so I would expect that you've
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
some of the stuff that has happened so far. Do you guys think you're going to struggle at all, or do you guys think this is going to be this much of a
Uh,
breeze the rest of the way?
I would say this team here is probably the what the perfect. She's what, Ascendant one, so I would say she's probably one of the best players in the league. But other than
Mhm.
that, I don't think we drop a map like this whole thing.
I respect the confidence, and I think based on, I mean, I don't think it's a surprise. Like it's not only 2-0 today. Your opponents only got 2 rounds, so they got as many rounds as you guys got maps. But
Yeah,
yeah, with that said, I think the final thing that I would want to ask about the TCU is the fact that we asked this similar thing to last week when he came on. But where do you see the TCU going? Because this is the inaugural season, right? Again, we
yeah.
are supremely lucky to be casting this kind of initiative for these kinds of colleges, and I think it's pretty awesome. But like for asking a player, do you think this is going to go further, and what do you think will happen during the future seasons of what might be the TCU?
Mm, I think it could go farther. Maybe just a little more teams, I would say, because we only played like I think we only have 4 matches to schedule before playoffs.
Mhm.
So more teams would
Yeah.
make it like a lot more fun, I would say, just to play in general.
Yeah, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. Um, yeah, again, I mean, I feel like it's hard to come up with questions to ask when a team wins this hard in a best of three.
Yeah.
So I apologize for that. But with that said, uh, yeah, I think that's pretty much all we got for you today. But for you, do you have anything to say to some of your fans that might be watching, some friends or family, or whoever you want to thank
Uh,
from the coaching staff or whatever? The floor is yours.
I would like to thank our coach. You know, he be coming in here on the weekend, setting it all up for us, getting at least 3 hours of scrims. So yeah, I would like to thank our coach and our fans, and yeah, that's about it. Oh, and the
That's
players,
pretty
of
awesome.
course. They were shooting very good today, so I'm proud of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those are the number one. Yes. But yeah, thank you, Jay, for joining us. And it was pretty quick, but we're gonna let you head back to your team to celebrate and do whatever you want to do. I mean, maybe play some rank now that you're warmed up. It's, but
yeah.
yeah, brother, have a good night, man.
Yep, you too. See you guys.
See ya.
That was that's pretty cool. It's like
Yeah.
I feel like
I
it's pretty
mean,
one of the most relaxing games, and Jay himself is pretty relaxed himself. So I feel like it's pretty awesome.
they lost 2 rounds in 126. He has every right to be relaxed, Anton. I mean,
Yeah.
you said it pretty well, and at the end, it practically felt like a warm up. I mean, no disrespect to OLC, we've seen how good some of those individuals on their side can be. We saw their chamber absolutely pop off on the second map today. Uh,
Mhm.
Jay himself right now is talking about how Perfect might just be the best player in the league. Unfortunately, the team that surrounds her is not as high cal as the Wolves themselves are. It's the team chemistry that works out so much better for the Wolves, and hence why they were so much more dominant today, because everybody knew what they were doing. The three of those players have been playing together for 3 to 4 years, so that chemistry it showed itself in the game as well. Perfect, unfortunately, doesn't have that same luxury, and so even though Perfect individually may just be the best player in the league, it, she is gonna need a lot of help to be able to showcase that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree more. I think it should be better in the upcoming weeks, like the final 2 weeks of the play season. We have Bravehearts going up against the Mykonox in the next week. I don't, let me double check to see if that's actually on stream or not. I'm not entirely sure if it is, but I would be fairly curious to see that one because I think that might be another banger of a game, considering that Mykonox and the Wolves actually had a pretty decent showing. It was still a 2-0 in favor of Wolves, no surprise there. But I mean, the round counts were a little bit closer, 13-7, 13-9. So I would be very curious to see the Bravehearts play that team. But again, I'm not. I can check right now. I don't know what I'm doing. I can literally see if it's going to be on the broadcast. But apart from that, the other matchup next week, if I'm correct, is going to be the Wolves versus Sitting Bull. So that is also another one of the ones that I think would be a little bit closer than today, because Sitting Bull did put up a pretty massive fight against the Bravehearts during week one, and that one was off stream, unfortunately. That one was also a reschedule, so I'm kind of lying when I said week one. It was, I think, on the weekend after week one was meant to be played that match ended up happening because, again, all the tech issues that happened behind the scenes. That one went all three maps, and we almost had an overtime in map number one, 13-11, 13-7, 13-6. So that one was pretty darn close. So I think at least for week four, week three of stream to week four of what we were meant to be playing, uh, it is going to be a pretty decent showing. But if I'm correct, I do have the information for you guys. It will be the Wolves, so we will be seeing the Wolves versus Sitting Bull. So I think we will have another chance to witness the domination that Wolves can
Yeah.
potentially bring to their opponents. But at the same time, we will see Sitting Bull on the stream for the first time. And unfortunately, it seems to be the only time that they're going to be on stream. I would really like to see them go against their opponents week number one, but unfortunately, that is just not the case. But I think that's going to be a super good game next week. Inflict.
Yeah, it certainly would be. I mean, we're gonna have the playoffs eventually as well, but from the looks of it, from what the results look like on my on the street right here, the Wolves are the team to beat. I think because they're going up against Sitting Bull College next, as you said, but Sitting Bull College themselves have not had a great history so far in this league as of yet. They lost to Bravehearts in the very first week with a 2-1 map count. So and the Bravehearts just got knocked out of the park right now by Wolves. So I think Wolves are gonna have an easy time against Sitting Bull College in the next week as well.
Hmm. I think like I would have to watch them to diagnose anything because I think like when you watch Bravehearts right now, if they go back and look at their VODs and see what they have to do to adjust, I think it should be pretty easy to see. There are two very clear weak links, right? And you have to try and either use that to your advantage, like you know that every round, for example, like in mid and Haven, you know this guy's gonna walk up mid and push garage and kill your Sova. And then obviously like to train the player takes a longer time, but you can still play off that in a game, right? You can maybe send someone down mid from B and then try and catch the guy off guard when he's peeking garage, etc., etc. So there's definitely things that Bravehearts can do. And I think if Sitting Bull come back to this week to prep for their next week game, because they now we have the Wolves on stream, there's some footage on them. I think that could be a pretty valuable insight into how the Wolves play because uh, they were pretty. I mean, they were pretty set in stone today. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, eventually they got a bit loosey goosey towards the end, where they were just running into sites and just shooting people, and they're just like playing Valorant at that point. But before that, during Haven, especially during the early stages of it, I mean, they don't know who they're going up against, so they have to show some respect at the start at least. So if we can see Sitting Bull come out of the gate like decently strong, I think it might be a tougher match, but that it's gonna really bank on them coming out of the gate strong and not rolling over right as the match starts.
Yeah, which again is going to be pretty difficult. You're facing off against a team that has years of experience. The core of the team has years of experience playing together. The communication is going to be on point, and something that we have spoken about this in this league is that a lot of these teams are newly formed. They're just a bunch of players that go to the same college, just put together. Some of them may not have had interactions before coming into this team with each other. So it certainly isn't going to be up to the same caliber as Wolves have. It's a massive advantage that they would hold, having three players that are also good and that also have years of chemistry right behind them.
Yeah, but with that said, I mean, this is not done for the TCU for the week. We still have some more games in other games throughout the week. So tomorrow, if you guys are curious about Smash Brothers, you can watch Smash on Tuesdays. Rocket League is going to be on the channel on Thursdays. We are on channel 2, if I'm correct. We're on EGF 2. These games will take place on EGF 1. So Rocket League on Thursdays and Call of Duty on Fridays. And we do see some overlap from some of the players from like Valorant to Call of Duty. They're both FPS games. I'm pretty sure you know is also on the Bravehearts Call of Duty team, so that could be kind of interesting to watch to see if they do any better on Friday than they do today. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all we got for today, Inflict. Unless you got anything else.
No, no, I'm just excited to see how where this leads us. Because realistically, see, with the Wolves sitting at the very top, that leaves us with the rest of the crowd, and that rest of the crowd can do some upsets, even if not against the Wolves themselves. It's just realistically highly unlikely. We cannot
Mhm.
sugarcoat it, given how dominant Wolves were. But amongst themselves, the Bravehearts, if you take Wolves out of the equation, from the looks of it, Bravehearts are the team to beat. But Sitting Bull College have taken a map away from them. I have no idea how Mighty Mickey Knox play because again, their first week got skipped. Their second game was against the Wolves, who again are arguably the best and probably the best team in the league. So that just doesn't even count. So it certainly is going to be interesting to see how they actually perform against a team like the Sitting Bull College or the Bravehearts.
Yeah, but speaking of performance, we're gonna let you guys perform perhaps in your ranked games because it's not that late yet, so you got some time to play before you go to bed. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This has been Anton, and I've been joined by Inflict as always. And behind the scenes, we've had AppCon, excuse me. There were some technical issues behind the scenes, but we apologize for that. Thank you so much for bearing with us. And for now, we will be signing off. Thank you so much for watching. The TCU will be back next week at the same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with some more Valorant. As I mentioned, there's some other games going on the rest of the week. But for now, have a good night, guys, and take it easy.